Welcome to Historical Side-Eye, where we take a look at old architecture. This episode, we're going to take a ride through downtown Los Angeles. This was the first building I saw that day and was pretty amazed, actually. We got the arches, and then some sort of shield, and maybe some animals, and then on the top, columns, all the way on the top of this building. The Bob Hope Patriotic Hall. And next, my jaw dropped literally when I saw this one. We got 3 arches, and then on the top of this building, way up on the top of this building, we got obelisks. And then other little pieces of antiquitech. Just couldn't believe it driving by. Just seeing all these obelisks. Couldn't find out much about the building, but it is called International Mart, or the Mode O'Day building. Here's an old shot of it. We can see some things have been removed. And later came across this building. A lot of details on the top of the building. And looks like flower patterns. And the 4-leaf flower pattern. And then shields all across. And looks like more little columns. And maybe smaller details like flowers in there as well. So yeah, a lot of detail on the top of this building. And then here we got more shields and columns, and this column seems to have like a roof lantern in there. This may be a shield as well. Here's a look from the side. And then before we look at that building in the background, let's look over here. These windows have arches and keystones, and as well in the building right next to it. Same thing. And then, yeah, the top of that building, a lot of details. Looks like more shields. Some are there, some may be missing. More patterns. Here you can see that it's a brick building. And yeah, it's definitely patterns on some of those shields. Would really like to know what all that means. Here's another look at the brick. And then the details down here. We got the leaf that we've seen in previous episodes. Some relief sculptures. And some more shields. These have items in it that we can see, like a palette, and maybe some brushes, a book, somebody's face. And then we see this base here underneath this statue or relief, and it just makes me wonder, when we saw those pieces like that on the previous building, if maybe there were statues above those previously. Here's the entrance. Just wow. And this looks pretty unassuming, but once you get to know these patterns that we see, we got like a portal in the front and then a dome on the top here. Could be wrong, but interesting nonetheless. Now, this building has a lot going on here. Let's start out at the bottom. So we have these like flat columns, and they have the wreath or hanging there, and then above it, this pattern here looks like an actual wave water pattern, which we've seen in other places, kind of like that Greek meander pattern. But this also reminds me of some of the architecture that we see, also pieces, which I'll point out later as well. Like here, this kind of has that almost spiral going on. And look at this, we got the leaf right here, just like we saw at the Second Church of Christ Scientists and at Inglewood Park Cemetery in previous episodes. And this looks to be maybe brick, painted. And yeah, more intricate designs, the more higher we get. And columns. 2 rows of columns. And then all these teeth underneath. And then lions all along the edge. Just seems like a lot of detail and a lot of labor and work to put on a building, especially way on the top of this building. Even the one next to it has some patterns and some teeth. Here's an entrance. Flower patterns, leaves. All the familiar patterns, even this arch here. We got flat columns, and they have shields in them, or it looks to be shields in them. So much detail. And then we got bricks. And this one, not so clear, but in the foreground building, you can see is brick that's been painted over. And then back here, we got columns that are spirals and flower patterns. And up here, can't quite make that out if that's letters or some other sort of pattern. And then this one, it's got this familiar feature that we see on the side, which I really need a name for so I can describe this feature on other buildings. We got old school lamps and designs behind it. Here looks like the sun in the arch, flower patterns, more columns, and even into the wrought iron here we got 4-leaf pattern. Columns. And here again, just trying to get some of that detail. Not very clear, but you get the idea. And here's another brick building. And on the top, we've got the arches. Looks like maybe a portal or a shield. And over here, these, to me, I could be wrong, but it looks like in the shield it has initials. Looks like maybe an F and an E, or a P and an E. Not sure, but that's what it looks like to me based off of some of the way the initials that I've seen are laid out. And again, the more detail, the more higher you go up on this building. Looks like shields that have been defaced. We got flat columns and teeth. And then here on the top, we have this little, looks like Antiquitech right here. Looks kind of like that flower pattern that we saw on the, or I'm sorry, the leaf pattern that we saw on the sides of the Second Church of Christ Scientist. Even though this one looks smaller or maybe more pointed, but looks like a similar feature again. Check out episode 3 to see that. Here it is. This. Here's another shot. Here it looks almost like a face, but from the other angle, I think it's letters. And here we go, fasci. If you didn't know what you were looking at, you wouldn't even notice. And here it's a little dark, but check it out. We got a mixture of a little bit of everything on this building. We got the columns, we got bricks, red bricks, and then we have the lighter brown bricks. We got facades over here of stone, and then cartouches. This one was just a huge set of buildings right here. And this I just found to be interesting because this was not the address. This was just the date that they had to slap on there, 1905. Another large brick building. And here is a shield with some of those initials that I was talking about earlier. So here this looks like maybe a PPSC. And based off of this style, that's why I think the other one looked like a PE or an FE. More bricks and arches. A lot of build out here on the top. Interesting pattern. Another huge brick building with arches. Another tall brick building. Here we can see the flower patterns around the door and intricate door handles. This is the National Biscuit Company, which is Nabisco brick. And some patterns in here. And we got the flower or sun pattern here. And the old school lamp. And look at that base. And the flares on the top. And this I showed in the MeWe group, but not on YouTube yet. In between the buildings behind the Nabisco building were more brick buildings, and this was blocked off, but I took a closer look. and look at the design on here. And here we can see brick road and some construction going on back here, and then arched windows and bricked up arches as well. Here we can see one boarded up. And here's a nice view of it. Doesn't look like LA to me. Just like this shot. Alright. And then here, let's look in between here. We have some patterns on the side, and it looks like the building next to it was built right up against it. But then this part kind of overlaps. So let's take a look at this. Looks like they just painted over all this, but we can still make it out. Looks like that leaf pattern again. Little fountains or torches on the side. We got shields. And it looks like the shell. And then reefs. And then the arch over here. And then this just all the way across here. And then this looks like people with wings. And you can kind of see something in the shield, but not really. And this is just more of the same on this side. More red brick buildings. This one's got flat columns, arches, and more shields. Don't see what's in there. Looks like it was removed or covered up. And then this building back here, all brick. And we got arches, more patterns, and possibly shields. And then this building has like the top of a castle here going on. These little places where I guess you would shoot arrows from in downtown LA. And this other structure over here on the top. And look at the back of this building over here. A lot of detail going on there. And here you can see lions. More lions. Here, here, here. Actually, all the way around it looks like. There we go. And here we got more brick buildings. This one has columns as well. And take a look at this. all the facade features on the top. And we got the teeth and the pattern up here. And then look at this pattern on this building. Looks like flowers. Looks similar to other tiles we've seen in previous episodes. And this is the area where the second Church of Christ Scientist was. Once I passed this, I had to go back and see it. So that was episode 3. And also in the area is USC, where this was. And some of the buildings featured around there will be in a future episode. And then here we got the Department of Water and Power. So this is more of the deco style. And this is something that we'll see more buildings with this pattern in some episodes coming up. So that's the first in a series of videos I'll be doing on downtown Los Angeles. Be moving on to other subjects next, but expect more of this in the future. So thanks for watching.
There's got to be more to this thing we call time, cause the future can be seen in terms of straight lines. So combine the sign of instincts and wisdom's eyes, stroke the lows and highs of this ride we call life.